morning, welcome back to the channel. Today we're out here at the track. We got our first track workout of this half marathon prep. We have a 1 mile easy run warm-up. We have 3 800-meter repeats with a 3-minute break in between each one. And then we got a half-mile cool-down walk. In between each of the 800-meter runs, while I have that 3-minute break, I'm going to take some time to talk about why I'm doing this specific workout and why that I feel that it benefits me to do this as I get ready for this race in about 16 weeks. It's early, it's starting to get bright, it feels good, and we're gonna get after it. Okay, so just finished that easy 1 mile warm-up. We did a really good job of keeping the heart rate between 140 and 150. Again, was just trying to get the body going and get a nice sweat going, which we've got. So now we're gonna move into our 800-meter repeats. And remember, I've got 3 of them, and after each one, I'm gonna take about a 3-minute rest. First thing I want to talk about why I'm running an 800-meter repeat is because I'm wanting to run around the pace that I plan on running at during the half marathon. You know, whenever you do these easy runs, you're not running at that pace. The pace is slower because you're controlling the heart rate, and not saying that you shouldn't control the heart rate during the race, but during those easy runs, you're really making sure that you're building up that aerobic foundation to where out here with these repeats, I'm not so worried about the heart rate. Sure, I'm going to control my breathing, but my goal is to try to stay around the pace that I plan on running during the half marathon. Now, I've never run a half marathon, so how do I know what my pace is? Well, I don't. So I've just taken a gamble on what I think it'll be, and I'm going to say I'm going to try to run my pace between an 8 and 9 minute projected mile, and we'll go from there. If I run it quicker over time, then great. If not, we'll stay around 8 or 9. This is week 1 of 16. Obviously, I'm going to continue to do these throughout that entire time period. So the goal is to build up that aerobic fitness and endurance, and to be able to run quicker during this, like I would during the half marathon. So with these 800-meter repeats, my goal is to try to run at a pace that I plan on during this half marathon, and hopefully we can stay between 8 and 9 minutes. Okay, we just finished up that first 800-meter. I'll say between 8 and 9. I think it was around 8:22 pace. I'll double check on the app later whenever I get back to the house. But that was my goal, to stay between 8 and 9. So I've got 2 more at that pace and trying to do my best to stay around the 8:20 to 8:30, even the 8:35 mark. Second thing I want to talk about why I'm doing this is, to state the obvious, to build endurance. Right, we're gonna run a half marathon. We need some endurance and sort of train the way we would be running the actual half marathon. So the whole point of this would be to build up that endurance and to build up that stamina. So again, yes, you do it while you're running at those easy runs in that controlled heart rate zone, but you can really build up that endurance and stamina when you're out here running at the projected pace that you want to run during the half marathon. Okay, just finished up the second 800-meter run. So that time, my pace was about 7:30. I don't know what happened, but maybe I'm looser. I don't know. I was already loose when I started, but that's the best 800 time that I've put out yet. So maybe we've set a new bar. Maybe we need to be between 7:30 and 8:30, right? There's a lot of give and take when you're doing these paces, but you need to find the one that you can hit on a consistent basis, but also improve on. That leads me to the third thing I want to talk about. At some point, you got to hit the switch, right? At some point, you got to run fast, or you got to run quicker. The easy runs are great, but if you run that slow the whole time, you're naturally just going to become a little bit slower. You're going to not necessarily have those same fast twitch fibers that you had. When it comes time to run the race, you're not going to be as fast as you probably would have been if you'd have come out here and flipped the switch and just really got after it. So those days are needed. Now, they only need to happen about once or twice a week, but it's still just as important to run quicker or fast as it is to run slow and controlled. So we just finished up those 800 repeats and knocked out 3 of them. First one came in around 8:20. Second one came in around 7:20, 7:30, and the third one also came in at about that time. You know, before I started running, I said my goal was to stay between 8 and 9. Today I was able to stay between about 7, and I was able to stay between about 7:15 and 8:30. So maybe that's the goal moving forward, is about 7:15 to 8:30, and then build off of that. This is a half marathon prep. You just kind of have to go with the flow. There's gonna be weeks where you crush your numbers. There's gonna be weeks where you come in close or right on the line, and you just got to keep building off of that and keep your head up, keep moving forward. So today was a really good day running these 800 repeats. Definitely saw some significant gains this week than about 2 weeks ago, the very first time that I ran them. So this is the first time I've done this in the actual training segment. So really happy with what I was able to do today, and we're gonna keep building off of that moving forward. All right now we're knocking out this half-mile cool down walk. As you can tell, I'm absolutely dumping sweat. So whenever I get home, I'm definitely gonna have to hydrate and get some electrolytes and some salt and some food in the system, because we got a leg day ahead of us at the gym. But a really good morning. We got out here early. We got a great sweat in. We got after it and we hit some great numbers. So now it's time to go crush the rest of the day. All right, so we just got done eating breakfast, had some eggs, oatmeal, and some sourdough bread. Tried to get some calories and some fuel and some carbs back into the body with some protein as well, as we gear up to get ready for our lift later in the day. Real quick, I just wanted to go back and kind of solidify those pace numbers that I mentioned earlier. So after the first 800 meter, my average pace, or my minute per mile pace, was 8:20. After the second run, it was a 7:30. And then after the third run, it was a 7:18. So I think that is probably the new baseline that I use moving forward. So I think the next time that I do that next week, I'll probably make my goal anywhere from 7:15 to 8:30. I think that'll be a really good place to start, a really good place to build from. And it's going to increase slowly, and understand that when you're running and you're training for long distance, that you're not going to have these huge jumps all the time. Things are going to happen slowly, and you got to increase slowly. That way you don't hurt yourself, and that way you can manage your body's exertion and manage the fatigue that your body, and the stress, as well as the stress that your body is going to kind of endure throughout the training segment. So moving forward, I think 7:15 to 8:30 is probably good. It's probably a good window for me to shoot for. So that's what I'm going to do. And next time I go, that'll be what we go for, and we'll build off of that. And where we end up is where we end up. Like I said, this is my first half marathon ever. So wherever we end up is where we're going to end up. But right now, 7:15 to 8:30 is the goal every time that we do the 800 meter repeats. And then if we start ripping out some sub 8s and we're between, 7 and 7:30, 7:45, we may even drop the goal down to 6:30 to 7:30. But for right now, we're going to stick at 7:15 to 8:30 and continue to build off of that. All right, we're here at the gym. We've got a leg and a shoulder day. I like to do shoulders and legs because after a pretty tough or a pretty heavy leg day, really taxing the nervous system, you can do shoulders. And when you're really working out the shoulders, yeah, you gotta put in effort, but that maximum effort or that stressful effort isn't really there. It's a little bit easier to work those muscles. So I like to pair shoulders and legs. That way it's just one, I can do a push-pull leg split, have my stuff in 3-day increments, and it's a way for me to combine legs and shoulders rather than making it a 4-day thing and then just doing all shoulders on the 4th day. I've started doing this a while back, sometime within this year, and I've been a really big fan of it. And I think it's been helpful, and I've really enjoyed it. And you don't have to worry about, it's not like you're doing legs and then trying to go hit chest where you still got to put out a lot of effort. You can hit legs, go right into shoulders, hit those movements, and it doesn't take a ton of effort. Sure, you got to work, but it doesn't take tons of effort. And I think it's a really effective split. So for legs, I'm going to do 2 that really focus on the quad and the hamstring. And then I'm going to do 1 that the legs are involved, but it's more of a lower back movement. And then I've got a movement for my front delt, my mid delt, and then the rear delt as well. Now, I'm gonna do leg extensions and leg curls, but I'm gonna do single leg on both of those. I really want to focus on the muscle that I'm contracting throughout those lifts, rather than loading up a squat bar or a squat rack or even a leg press and then just really pushing with both legs. You know, I'm in this half marathon prep, my legs are taking a lot of stress, you know, just on a pretty much a daily basis with all the running that I'm doing. So I'm not really gonna load up a squat rack and just try to squat the house, or even a leg press, or even a hack squat. Those have their place, and I'm not gonna do it with my training for this half marathon. Sure, you can do it. There's people that do it. There's people that load it up and they squat the house, and there's no single way to do this that is effective. It's just not how I'm gonna approach it for this half marathon. But for this one, for these 16 weeks, I'm gonna focus on leg extension and hamstring curls, but I'm gonna do single leg and really focus on that contraction that I'm trying to get. And it's this, and by doing it single leg, it's kind of mimicking the same motion or the same movement that I get whenever I'm running, right? Each foot strikes the ground, each leg strikes the ground. The hamstring activates, the quad activates. That's how I'm gonna approach it, and I'm gonna really see if I can really build up the quad and the hamstring just by doing lighter weight, high volume, but doing single leg movement. Then I'm gonna do deadlift, and I understand I said I'm doing a leg day. I understand the deadlift is not a leg movement. The legs are involved. It is more of a lower back movement, but I'm doing it today on my leg days because I did back yesterday. It was more of my mid and upper back. And I'm wanting to do it on my leg days because I just want to focus on the lower back. There's a lot of running, there's a lot of stress that gets put on the running back from constantly striking the ground. So I just want to solely focus on the lower back with this deadlift movement while keeping the legs engaged, and really repping out some high reps, but really building up that lower back, because a strong lower back is going to be essential whenever we start covering more miles. Then, like I said, I'm gonna hit a dumbbell shoulder press. It's my favorite front delt exercise to do. Then I'm gonna hit some seated dumbbell lateral raises, and then I'm gonna hit a reverse fly to hit the rear delt, and it's gonna wrap up the workout. We're gonna be high volume still. We're really gonna focus on the contraction, and we're really gonna work on building these legs up. That way they can carry us farther as we start to increase the mileage in our half marathon training. Okay, we just got back from the gym. That was a heavy session. That ended up taking almost an hour and a half to do by the time I knocked out all the sets and reps for the legs and the shoulders, but it was a heck of a workout. It's the most I've sweat in the gym in a while, so really happy with how that went. It was a really good workout and a really good way to bring the training day to an end. Now, just like last time, I want to talk about some things and some tips that you can use to help you out in your training and in your recovery. Today's topic is called listening to your body. You know, no matter if you're strength training, running, hybrid training, CrossFit, HIIT, anything that involves strenuous working or anything that involves a strenuous workout, you want to make sure you're listening to your body as the days go on and also during your training session. Our bodies can take a lot, but at some point there is a breaking point. And if we don't handle our recovery and if we don't comprehend what our body's trying to tell us, it can put us in a tough spot and really apprehend what we're trying to accomplish and apprehend our training. What you need to understand is the difference between pain, fatigue, and soreness. So pain is, that ow feeling, that feeling like something doesn't feel right, it hurts, and just very uncomfortable. Fatigue is, man, I feel tired, I almost feel like a zombie. I'm not pushing the same weight or hitting the same distance or hitting the same pace that I normally do, and just no matter how hard I try, I just don't feel like I really have it, and it kind of occurs over more than one day. Then you have soreness where you put in hard work and the next day you just got maybe some knots or your muscles are sore and you just feel a little bit tight. So what do you do if you feel pain? Well, if you feel pain, you just need to stop. You need to take some time off, and if the pain's really bad, you need to make sure you go see a medical expert. But you don't need to live through the pain. Obviously, we all want to push ourselves and we want to be hardcore, but trying to push and live through pain is only going to make things worse, especially if it's a significant injury and you could really sideline yourself for a long period of time. If you have pain, take some time off. If that pain's still there, obviously see a doctor, try to rehab it the best you can, but understand pain means we need to stop, and it's our body's way of saying, hey, this is hurting, I need to stop and I need to recover before I make things worse. So just, if you feel pain, try to diagnose it, take some time off, and then ease your way back into the workout. What do you do if you feel fatigue? Well, if you feel fatigue, it could be a couple things. Maybe your muscles are just tired and you only need one day off. Maybe you're tired and you need a few days off. Maybe you're tired because you didn't eat well the day before. Maybe you're tired because you didn't sleep well the day before, right? Like, there's a lot of factors that go into fatigue. And fatigue isn't pain or soreness. Fatigue is just, I feel tired, and you just feel like you can't put as much energy into what you're doing. And, maybe if you're experiencing this, look at the prior day. Was it a heavy workout or a heavy run? If it was, maybe you just need to take the day off. If you just had a normal workout like you've normally been having, look at your nutrition. Did you eat enough carbs and protein? If you didn't, or maybe you just didn't consume enough calories, maybe you just need to up your calorie intake, and probably the next day you most likely feel better. Maybe you look back at your recovery. Did you have a hard workout and then were you super busy the rest of the day, and did you really get to just sit down and chill, and did you go to bed at a decent hour and get quality sleep? If you didn't get any of those, it's probably going to lead to fatigue. So if you're experiencing this, it's not the same as pain or soreness, but if you're experiencing fatigue, it's okay to maybe take a day off, or just take it lighter, or just focus on your recovery and your nutrition, and it should get you back on track. So what do you do if you feel soreness? Well, in my experience, whenever I experience soreness, it's really good. It's a really good indicator for me to stretch or use a massage gun. Those have been two really good things that I've done anytime I feel soreness. Sure, it's kind of uncomfortable to stretch through soreness, but after you knock out a few sets of whatever muscle you're trying to stretch, you tend to feel better. Or, if you're sore, maybe lift lighter, work out the soreness before adding that normal weight. There's been times where I've went into the gym and I've had to do a few extra warm-up sets to kind of work out the kinks before putting on the weight, and then usually once I was good and loose, I could push the weight I needed. Same thing with running. Maybe my legs were a little sore. Take it easy, make sure I take a little bit extra time to get loose, and then usually once you get into the thick of it, it tends to go away. Now, that also means you probably need to stretch and recover a little bit better post-workout, because that soreness is going to come back, and if you push it really hard, the soreness may be worse. So just make sure if you're sore, you're using techniques like stretching, massage gun, maybe you need to ice and heat a little bit, or maybe you just need to really take that day of recovery seriously to bounce back for the next day. Now, I do want to say with soreness can lead to injury. If you just hit a hard chest day and then you're trying to hit chest 2 days later and you're still sore and you're trying to push a lot of weight, you might hurt yourself. Same thing with running. If for example, if somebody runs 5 miles and their legs are really sore, especially in their Achilles and their calves, or maybe even their hamstrings, and then the next day they try to do the same thing just as hard, you're risking injury. So you got to be smart with soreness. It's not fatigue, it's not pain, but it could lead to fatigue and it could lead to pain. But if you manage it the right way, you could just work through it and then slowly work its way out and then feel great moving forward. Now, with those 3 things, it can lead to an unexpected day off, and understand that that's okay. All right, we don't have to follow this constant rigid schedule. If you're training for something, you've got a schedule you need to hit, and you've got numbers and days you need to hit. But if you happen to have an unexpected day off, it's okay, and it's not the end of the world. And it may be just what you need to get back on track. You can always shift it around and put, if you have one expected off day, maybe another day that you normally take off, if you feel good, you could go ahead and implement the workout there. So understand it's not the end of the world if you need that day off, because sometimes it can be the best thing for us. And to kind of bounce off of that, a segue would be to say, move your workouts around based off of feel. Now, if you feel great and your schedule's working, keep doing what you're doing. But if we'll go to legs. So maybe I just hit a hard quad session and I'm supposed to, do quads again, or just to do legs in general again 3 days later. Well, what if I get to that 3rd day and I'm still really sore? It's okay to move that workout and then add something else there. So maybe you did bench press at the beginning of the week, then you had your leg day. Well, then you're supposed to do legs, 3 days later, and you get to that day and one of the other body parts that you previously worked feels really good. Just do that workout and then move the leg day to a different day. So it's okay to move them around based off of how you feel. Again, we're trying to train smart. That way we can continue to train. Another segue, I'm all for going all in, being balled in and going hardcore and being dedicated, really trying to rise to the occasion and to really get some things done. But understand, if you're injured, you can't train. So you've got to be smart, and I can't stress this enough. Be smart about what you're doing and listen to your body, because it doesn't do us any good if we're sidelined from an injury that we could have avoided whenever the signs were there. Now, how to rejuvenate. I've already talked about a few of them. Maybe it's your recovery. Maybe you just sit around all day and just take that extra day to sit around. Maybe use a massage gun. Maybe you use hot and cold treatment. Maybe you stretch. Maybe you up your carb intake. There's multiple ways to rejuvenate yourself. And if you're not experiencing pain, soreness, or fatigue, and you're almost experiencing burnout, maybe just take a few days off. Sometimes that's all you need to rejuvenate. Sometimes a few days off and you get that itch again, and then you go in there and you just absolutely crush a workout, and all you really needed was just a few days off. So those are just a few ways you can kind of rejuvenate yourself if you start to experience any of those things. Now, with that being said, on the days that you just feel like you could run through a brick wall and feel superhuman, go for it. On your runs, crush what you need to crush, and when you go in the weight room, move the weight you're supposed to move and move it around, and really thrive on those days and cherish them, enjoy them, because those days can be some of the best days, when you're running or in the gym. There's nothing really like feeling superhuman and just feeling like you could just pick up the world and, curl it or run with it on your back. Those days are awesome, so take advantage of them when you get them. Now, here's how we're going to apply the care model that I talked about yesterday, right? I've been saying you need to take care of yourself. Well, go through the acronym. Starting with C, right? Can you consistently listen to your body and make sure that you're not putting yourself in jeopardy of getting hurt, and that you're putting yourselves in positions to grow and to succeed and to hit those benchmarks in your training? Can you hold yourself accountable? Can you look in the mirror and say, hey, I don't have it today, I need to chill? Or can you look in the mirror and say, hey, I feel great, I don't need to sit this out, I need to go get this done, and I need to push through it, right? But hold yourself accountable, and if you need the day off, just tell yourself it's okay to take that day off and make sure you go sit your butt down and that you don't do anything. But if you're feeling great, make sure you get your butt to the gym and move some weight around and just absolutely dominate whatever training session that you're in. Now, be responsible, right? We're talking about listening to the body. Can you be responsible and listen to what your body's trying to tell you? That way you don't put yourself in positions to occur injury, right? Be responsible, have the right technique, take the days off that you need, pay attention to your body, make sure you recover, and make sure that you are being responsible with your training and your training schedules. And then excellence. Listen to your body can help you chase and reach excellence, a whole lot faster or even just as fast, right? By listening to your body and taking what you need and doing what you need to make sure that you're at your peak performance, it can help you reach new heights, new goals, and achieve new things. So that's how you can apply the CARE model to listening to your body. All right, so that's kind of the end of my teaching point for today. I hope that is something that you can add or something that you can kind of ponder on and think about whenever it comes to your training. And I hope you've enjoyed this video. I hope you enjoyed the track workout. I hope you enjoyed the gym session, and I hope you're able to apply some of the things that I just talked about. If you like what you saw, please like and subscribe to the channel. Thank you for watching, and we will see you on the next episode.